actually. My dog's joining us today. She's right here. Oh.
I'm gonna take you out. Oh, she's right here. Oh!
So today I'm doing my 5 favorite books that I've read so far in 2019. I was waiting, I think, to hit 100 because I think that was my goal on Goodreads, was read 100 this year. And I didn't think I was going to do it by the end of the year. But I'm pretty close. I'm somewhere in the 90s. But whatever. I'm going to do it now because I don't really want to wait because it's more than halfway through the year. So I want to do it now. I don't think I'm going to read another 100. That's for sure. My reading will definitely slow down now that school's starting with my kids and everything. Anyways. So hard to do, by the way. There's the one book that I really wanted to put on here, an honorable mention, but I'm just gonna let it go. So the very first book I'm gonna put on here is The Chemist by Stephenie Meyer. So I read The Chemist really recently. It is about a young woman who you wake up and she's waking up and you don't know what's going on, but she's like in fear of her life. She's like sets up all these little tricks and gas masks. You obviously know she once was a chemist from the title of the book, but you don't know why she's running for her life. You don't know why she's been on the run. You don't know who's after her, and that divulges throughout the book. It's not a dumping story, which I really enjoyed. This was a bit of a different read from Stephenie Meyer, which I really enjoyed. I think it was third-person narrative instead of first-person. I think she's a wonderful author at like keeping you intrigued through the book. So although this was a thriller, I read it really quickly. I don't typically like thrillers or mysteries, but I loved this one. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I thought she did much better writing than she originally did in Twilight, but I really enjoyed Twilight. I wasn't a hater on Twilight by any means. So The Chemist was really good. She does meet these 2 young men. And the other ones I didn't want to give it away either. I think I might do a review and go more in depth about them. But I don't want to give away the story for people who haven't read it. But it was really good. It was released a few years ago. I think in 2017, I want to say. 2016 it was released. So it was released a while ago. A lot of people probably have read it by now. But there's another 2 men. One's a Navy SEAL, one's a teacher. She ends up kidnapping the teacher at some point. And then they kind of team up because they both have targets on their backs. So they all team up as a way to basically save their lives. And it's really good, epic thriller, trying to figure out what's going on. I really enjoyed it. I really loved it. I know there's a huge thriller out right now that everybody keeps talking about. I will get to it, hopefully. But yeah, right now this is definitely in my top 5. Next one was The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. I'm really surprised by this one because I really enjoyed it, and I went and picked up another one of her books that just newly released, and I really enjoyed it. But I liked The Simple Wild, I think, a little bit more. Both of her newest books on romance, I don't know if she wrote romance before, are really good. This one is about a girl who's like an Instagrammer, I guess, or a little bit, and she's just kind of got a very millennial, modern life living in an urban Toronto. And she gets a call from a friend who's worried about her father, and her father has gotten cancer, and she has not been to Alaska in 22 years. She's 24 years old. She hasn't seen her father since she was 2 and really doesn't know him, but quickly decides to go back. She's got a great mother who took her from Alaska, and then her stepdad is really great in the book as well. Her stepdad's like a psychologist, I think. And he helps her like think through things very clearly. And so yeah, she kind of has a lot of regrets going there, like thinking this dad didn't love me, he didn't care about me, and all this stuff. So it's really more of like going to answer her own questions about her father before he passes away and getting to know him a little bit. So she goes and she meets a young guy right off the bat, and he is a pilot for her father. Her father owns like this pilot business that runs all over this area of Alaska of people who really need them, to like reservations and stuff, of people who need doctors or vets, or they really need some stuff. And that these people, you cannot travel by like ice road trucks or anything to get to these people. You have to fly to them. So there are a lot of people like dependent on her father in ways. And so she meets this guy, and he's her age, and he's broody, and he's the exact opposite. He's a country boy at heart. He doesn't understand the urban lifestyle. He doesn't understand her fickle, superficial ways. Some people like, I read in the reviews, thought it was annoying, one or the other, but I've seen both sides. I like both sides. I like urban life, I like country life. I don't have a problem with it. So maybe that's why I really enjoyed this book. But yeah, so you don't know why he's mad or upset or why he's moody, this kid, and then also her father she gets to know. So that's what the story is about. I really enjoyed it. I read a lot of romances this year, and this one it's on the top of my mind lately. Maybe it's because I read it more recently, but I definitely would put it up there. I really, really enjoyed this book, and I would definitely recommend it as a romance read for adult or new adult. It's definitely new adult, but I always try to skip over new adult. I don't know why I go from like YA to adult a lot. I think because new adult is like more recent term to me. Anyways, the next book is way back long ago. So I did put one in that I read at the beginning of the year. So this is Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid, who's really, really popular this year because she's had a few books come out. But this is my favorite by her. I've read like all of her books because I love her writing style. So she was really popular because of the Daisy Jones and the Six and Evelyn Hugo this year. But my favorite by her was one of her modern romance tales, and it's called Forever Interrupted. So the story starts out with a girl in a hospital with a dead husband, and she has never met her mother-in-law, and she's meeting her mother-in-law the first time. So it's a very, very sad story. I bawled like all the way through this story. I read it super quickly, absolutely loved it. There's tons of romance in the story, which is great because I'm a big romance at heart. If you can't tell, there was like romance in all three of the books I've picked so far. And this one was strictly romance, but it just tore my heart out. Oh, it was so good. And I told like certain people to like, you have to go read this right now. If I knew they were big romance lovers like me, like it was just really done well. It's more of a getting to know her mother-in-law story and going through the grieving process, but there was so much romance because it does do flashbacks of what happened and why she never met her mother-in-law and when they got married, and oh, it's just so good. And it's got like all the crucial fun parts of falling in love because that's probably how your memory works. And I really enjoyed it. I really loved it. I thought it was really good. And it was fun. It was an insta-love thing, I'm pretty sure, if I remember right. I thought it was a really fun book.
The top two.
So the second book I read, there was another book I really wanted to put in at this level. I don't know. I tried to pick ones in different categories because there's probably 10 books I really, truly love this year that I would go out and buy and recommend to like everybody. But anyways, I picked The Librarian of Auschwitz. Maybe it's because it's more of a nonfiction piece. I don't know. I should have maybe stuck to fiction. I don't know. Anyways, The Librarian of Auschwitz by Antonio Intube. I don't know how to pronounce it. It took me a while to read. Maybe it was the translation. Some things were a little bit lost in translation, I think, with this. But I really enjoyed the story. Really remember the story. It was done so well. It's about a young girl who gets to be the librarian for like the children's block and at Auschwitz, and it's super sad. Sometimes the story will definitely actually like tear your heart out because you know these things happen in history, and it is so sad. But you don't really know why the family and children's block is there, but that you soon discover it. It does go through periods where she is not in Auschwitz. So before she gets there, she's in the Terezin ghetto at the start of the story. And then you meet this cast of characters, some of them who are quite famous from Auschwitz, like the person who escaped from Auschwitz. And you meet which he was the registrar, Rudy, I believe is his nickname. But I think his name in history is Rudolph or something. And then you meet the kid who ran like the children's block, and he's quite a more famous character too, which is really cool. And then yeah, you obviously meet her, and she like hides these library books, these 4 or 5 books. Like, I mean, they could be killed for this, for keeping books, but it's something to give the children to do all day. And yeah, it has a lot of meaning. So she says pockets like on her side and hides these little books, and you don't know till the very end if she makes it or doesn't make it out of Auschwitz. And then the author does these really great notes afterwards, which were just as good as incredible as the story. So I really enjoyed that part as well, and like how we came about the story, who we interviewed and everything. You definitely have to read the author's notes at the end. They're just as important to the main story, and I really enjoyed reading this book. It was a completely unique view of anything I've read about Auschwitz or anything. I loved it. It was really good, but really there's some really sad points. Like, you've got to know that going on. It's this heavy book, a heavy book. Okay, and so the first top book, if you saw my mid-year, I don't know, wrap up or freak out or review or something, you know what my top book is, and it is The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. I've mentioned this so many times this year. I don't know if it'll end up being my favorite. You know, I got 4 more months to go, but absolutely love this book, enjoyed this book, has the biggest impact on me this year probably. I don't know, it's like a generational book a little bit. It's about a family and 1970s, and the dad's having problems coping with Vietnam, and he has PTSD, he has alcoholism, the family's kind of in a dark place. They move to this very barren place where it's all about survival, and what you do in the summer months will help you survive through the winters. The winters are so dark and depressing. So there's some scary times coming up in this book, but there's also, you know, family bonding and community bonding a lot. The community characters are so great. I love, like, there's one character called, like, Large Margin here, and I absolutely adore her and love her. So yeah, all the characters, the side characters, you'll love them all. They're really, really great. I really enjoyed this so much. There's a really good little romance in here as well. But it's mostly about the main girl. The main girl, I think, is 13, 16, and then like 18, 26 in this book. She does grow up about a decade or more, a decade plus in this book. If you like The Nightingale, I think you'll love The Great Alone. And yeah, so that's my top favorite right now. It is really hard to choose. Trust me, I could have put a top 10 easily. All these books might interchange on date. Maybe not this one, but the other books probably interchange from day to day. But yeah, I've read some really good books. I mean, I've probably read 50 or so books that were mediocre this year. But yeah, you gotta read them to find the good ones or the best ones. And I will see you guys in the next one. See you guys next time. Bye!